The Juno Awards were hosted this week in my hometown of Edmonton, Canada. If you don't know what the Junos are, they're a music awards show, basically Canada's version of the Grammys. Obviously a lot smaller because there's a lot less people here in Canada, but it still is a televised event. It's still a big show that they put on, and I got to play cello in it this year. Something really cool about the Junos is that each year they host it in a different city. So it's not always here in Edmonton, but it kind of rotates around to different cities across Canada. That's not really something that you see with award shows like the Grammys, which are typically always held in Los Angeles, but it's a great way of kind of spreading the love and uplifting music communities across Canada. I actually didn't know the Junos were happening in Edmonton until a couple months ago. I was at the airport looking at the list of departures, and at the bottom of the flight board there was this ad that was designed like an airplane ticket, and it said, "The Junos arriving in YEG," that's Edmonton's flight code, March 13th. And I just thought, oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know they were happening here this year. And right before I was about to get on the flight, I got an email from Scott, who was the strings coordinator for the Junos, saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a cello player. Someone recommended you. Are you free March 13th?" And I was kind of putting the pieces together, and I thought, okay, this must be the Junos. So of course I said, yes, I'm available. And yeah, that's how it ended up happening. I ended up playing cello as part of a little string section for a couple of the performances. Like I said, this was a televised event, and the clips are on YouTube. So I thought I would just take a look, see how the performances went overall, and see if there's maybe anything I can pick apart about the string playing. So this first performance is by an artist named Tenille Townes. She's a country singer-songwriter from a town a few hours away from here called Grand Prairie. So that was a really cool opportunity to play alongside musicians from the local music community, as well as alongside an artist that also grew up here.
Pave the path to get back to where is it the clock on the wall, or is it?
Okay, there we are. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I just want to mention she threw the guitar into the audience, threw off her sleeves. I'm surprised and relieved that that went really smoothly. I don't know, it seemed like a lot of things could have gone wrong there, but it's cool to see us on stage there. I actually didn't know how this was going to look, how visible we were going to be. I think there's a nice balance visually between the cellos on the left and the violins and violas on the right.
Is it the sound of you not calling? Who knows? I don't. It's just the sound of being alone.
Cool. I mean, yeah, it looks like we're pretty together here. A little behind the scenes, I guess. They made us memorize all of the music for these performances because obviously it doesn't look very engaging to be playing on stage with sheet music. And during the rehearsals, a lot of it actually wasn't focused on the music at all. The expectation is kind of just that you show up already having the music memorized. Although they do set aside a lot of time for the rehearsals, it's basically just running it through for the lighting crew, for the camera people to basically block everything out, make sure it looks good, make sure everyone knows where they need to be at different points in the broadcast to capture what is going to be shown on TV, but also what's going to be shown on the screens actually in the arena.
It comes, it goes, it's just the sound of being alone.
Okay, not sure if you noticed that. There was a little bit of hesitancy there when we were about to start that phrase on an up bow when we had started it on a down bow the previous time. That's basically just so that we end on an up bow to crescendo into the next section and it looks more dynamic. Bowings are obviously super important when we're playing on TV here. Basically, we really need to sell the idea that we're in sync with each other and with the song. So yeah, you basically can't have anything looking out of place or looking distracting. And the way that the parts were originally written, there's like a violin 1 part and a violin 2 part, and I think there were some sections of the piece where the bowings were different just because that's how it was arranged or that's how it was written out. So people would have memorized that and come to the rehearsal ready to play that, and then when they were looking at it on stage, producers or people looking out for this were like, no, that doesn't look like you're playing together. Everyone needs to look like their bows are heading in the right direction in order to sell the idea that we're really playing together. Okay, so they had one close-up there of the violins, so I guess that just shows that at any point they could cut to a close-up of you, so you better make sure you're playing the right thing. As we're getting into more of the climax of the song here, I guess it matters less because the camera moves become more dynamic, so there's less opportunity for people to pick up on the details there.
Is it the clock on the wall? Is it nothing else?
Okay, one other thing that is really important and that was mentioned a lot during the rehearsals, when you're lifting off a note, hold it in the air dramatically. Hold your bow in the air and make sure that you're letting, visualizing the sound ringing out, because you don't want to let the energy die with your physical movements. You're on screen here, so kind of whatever movements you're making is what signals to the viewer what they're hearing. I guess even if it sounded the exact same, just visually representing the sound ringing out makes a big difference for someone watching it. And also, yeah, you just don't want anything looking out of place in the background, like dropping your bow immediately. Okay, very nice. I'm glad they panned out at the end and gave us another view of all of the string players. I think that's why we're there, is to fill out the stage presence, represent a fuller sound, and just sell the idea of this being a grand performance. And I think things like that really sell it for the viewers at home. They had kind of told us to sway at the end along with the bows for just the last few notes. I think the violins did it pretty well. I think I remembered that we kind of got mixed up on the bowings a little bit in the cello section, but it wasn't on camera, so I couldn't really verify, and I guess thankfully that wasn't something that stuck out to people watching. I just want to mention some of the people that I was playing with. Part of what made this a really cool opportunity to get to play at the Junos in Edmonton is that they hired other Edmonton musicians to be a part of the string section, and having grown up here and learned cello here and played in just different ensembles for many years, most of the people were people that I had either recorded with before or performed with before or even like grown up and taken lessons with before. And yeah, it's just a really cool down-to-earth group of people. It was really nice vibes getting to, I guess, reunite with a lot of people. And for this next performance, they added some background vocalists too, which is really cool because I knew a couple of the singers from just shows that we had played at in the past or collaborations that we had done. So yeah, this next performance was from a little bit later in the show with Jesse Reyes, and yeah, let's take a look.
Our mutual friend.
Okay, it actually looks a lot cooler than I thought it would. It looks cool from on stage, but you don't really get the effect of everyone lined up like this and with the lighting behind us. And oh yeah, I guess I should mention that they made us change outfits for this performance because we're all in white now. The performances were like 50 minutes or an hour apart during the ceremony, but they made us change like really fast. Like we had to get off the stage really fast after Tenille Townes' performance, and they had a little change area. People would be like standing outside saying, okay, you got 10 minutes left. And then after the really short period of time that they made us change in, we were just kind of standing around for like another half an hour before we got called up for the next performance. So they run a pretty tight ship on television. I think it's just that they want to make sure everyone's in their place and ready to go like half an hour before they're actually needed.
And if you die tomorrow, I don't think I'd cry. I gave you one too many nights. Don't care if it's uncle. It is what it is.
Okay, yeah, nice. Jesse was more on the side of the stage with the background vocalists for that first verse. I want to give a little shout out here to one of the singers, Josh Sahunta. If you watch some of my really old videos on my other channel, you might recognize Josh from a couple of collaborations that we did almost 10 years ago. One that we filmed in my parents' basement and another that we filmed in his parents' basement. And we were both, university students at the time, doing science degrees. And I think we both knew we wanted to somehow make a career in music, but didn't really know how to make that happen or what would be involved there. It's been really cool to see Josh thriving as a singer, songwriter, and music producer over the years. And just felt like a really full circle moment to reunite here at the Junos. We took a photo together, and I was just kind of saying, like, made it from the basement to the Junos, literally.
Our mutual friend had front row tickets to all our events. Every time that you played all your games, well, guess what? I got no hobbies these days.
Okay, I don't know. I wonder how people felt about this when they saw the pizzicato there, because obviously everyone is playing together, but I guess the bows are a little bit at different angles. That wasn't something that was called out in the rehearsals. I don't know if that's something that me as a viewer would pick out, but I guess I wonder if that's something that anyone thought was distracting.
And never again will I let you turn me back into a mess. That bitch has been on a carton of milk. And guess what? Your karma's that you love me still, yeah. And you should be grateful that I...
Okay, nice. We had this pretty prominent bowed line. Most of the string parts here in this piece are pizzicato or plucked. But yeah, we had this really nice melodic line here. And I'm glad they caught basically all of it on camera. So as a cello section, that was our little moment to shine. And I guess I should also mention they added a couple of string players to this performance too. Most notably this double bass player who is playing that pretty prominent bass line throughout the piece.
And if you die tomorrow, I don't think I'd cry. I gave you one too many nights. Don't care if it's uncle. It is what it is. Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty proud of this. I think we're really going for it. That's literally not how you would play in real life. Pizzicato often looks not too exciting because you don't want to take your hand too far from the instrument. Otherwise, that's just further that you need to bring it back in order to pluck the next note. But they were very adamant that this had to look dramatic. That's why you see us kind of making this motion here, like after every pizz, and also kind of like bobbing our heads to the beat and all of that. I mean, it also does help as a performer to kind of get you more into it as well, and just actually have more of that energy organically.
It is what it is. Yeah. And if you die tomorrow, I don't think I'd cry. I gave you one too many nights. Don't care if it's uncle. It is what it is. Yeah. And if you die.
Okay, this is something that I also didn't know how it would look from the audience. The pyrotechnics going off behind us. From where we're sitting, obviously we're not going to be looking back to see what's going on, so we're still just kind of looking at each other or looking forward, and kind of all you can tell is that it got a lot brighter and people's faces are being lit up. But yeah, really cool to see how this looks from the audience. I think it adds a lot of dynamic energy, and yeah, it's just really cool to see everyone's silhouettes in front of the pyrotechnics here.
Don't care if it's uncle. Don't care if it's uncle. It is what it is. Yeah.
Sweet, sweet. Yeah, I would say that one maybe went better than the Tennille Towns performance, maybe just because there were less close-ups on us or less opportunities for us to be playing the wrong thing. Obviously, Jesse walked out onto the catwalk for the last part of the performance, so the part that kind of had the most energy, we were more in the background and silhouetted against the pyrotechnics. So I'm really glad we were kind of like bobbing our heads and making more of those like macro movements in the background, because that's the only stuff that gets picked up on camera when you're in the background like that. So yeah, the Junos was an amazing experience. I think what made it most meaningful for me was probably just being able to reconnect with old collaborators or people that I'd played with in the past. And I'm really glad I got to be a part of 2 performances too, just to feel like a bigger part of the show, I guess. And yeah, afterwards, it was pretty rushed, but I had a chance to catch up with a couple people on just how they felt about the performance.
It was great.
Crazy.
Super fun.
2023
I've
Junos.
never played a show with pyrotechnics before. To be honest, I had my eyes closed most of the time, so I wasn't like really paying attention to what was going on around me. I was just trying to like make sure I nailed my parts. So it was cool though when I opened my eyes and like, especially when the pyrotechnics went off and like the whole building lit up and seeing like that many people there. So cool.
I think the bowings were good.
Pretty convincing.
Yeah, I think our expressions could have been a little bit more like.
Yeah. I feel like I was very serious.
Yeah, I know. But
I have to work on my smiling.
yeah, exactly. That's show business.
Yeah.
I think I was playing the wrong notes for pizzicato. Like I was playing, for like
yeah.
a solid 10 bars until I realized, and then I switched back. But
what happened to me was when we started the Jesse song, I stared playing the notes for the Tennille song.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I was like, wait a second, wrong
it's
song!
like, this isn't right. Yeah.
It was a great experience. I wish we could do it all over again. And we had such a great team of cellists and just great team of like musicians all around. So that was really fun.
So something that I thought I would just add into the video here, this is actually the second time that I played at the Junos. The first time was 7 years ago in Calgary, and I got to play with Shawn Mendes, and that one was really cool too because it was actually my own arrangement. Basically what had happened was I posted a cover of his breakout hit Stitches back in 2015. I guess his team had noticed it and started using it in the trailers for his first world tour, and they actually used it as like the opening music for the actual tour itself. So when it came around to the Junos that year, they reached out and just asked if I would be interested in going down to Calgary and playing this arrangement at the Junos. So yeah, I have the video here. I thought I would just watch it to kind of relive that experience too. Yeah, so the stage layout for this one, we were just kind of on like a separate part of the stage the whole time from Shawn Mendes. So I don't think this one has any close-ups of us, so there's probably no opportunities to tell if we're making any mistakes. But yeah, over there I'm playing with my good friend Adam Caulfield, who you maybe recognize from some of my like most watched videos, and then a really talented cellist and singer from Calgary, Lizzie Munson, who actually went on to perform with Cirque du Soleil.
Got a feeling that I'm going under, but I know that I'll make it out alive if I quit calling you my lover. Move on, you watch me bleed till I can't breathe.
Yeah, really cool hearing this. It's bringing back a lot of memories of arranging this, and I'm really glad that we got to play basically a version of this song that was a little bit different from the original. I think it made it more special and maybe a little bit more unexpected.
And now that I'm without your kisses, I'll be needing stitches.
Okay, so we were actually only playing in the first half of this song because he did the first half with the cellos only and then transitioned to do the second half of the song more up-tempo with his band. I actually forgot that we did that little interlude there, which was another nice little moment for the cellos to shine. I really enjoyed doing that like 3 cello performance. This was actually before Adam and I had done any of our cello trio videos with our other friend Catherine, and I think this experience was probably pretty influential in us wanting to do some more of those. So yeah, overall, really grateful for these opportunities. I'm glad that I got to be a part of the Junos here in my hometown this time, and I'm excited about the energy that it's brought to the Edmonton music scene in recent weeks and hopefully going forward. And yeah, all you can hope for is just more interesting opportunities in the future. So thanks for joining me for this little watch party, and I'll see you soon.